It's Krystal from the Angels and Beyond. So, just was having a few moments myself and have just been thinking, like, how can I give back? How can I share some of my experiences with others? And how can I possibly maybe inspire somebody to follow their own intuition and guidance? And so one of the things that just has been very on the forefront of my mind, I guess, is pertaining to schooling and the school system, and how I'm now homeschooling my two kids. And it was a decision that, I knew that maybe in the distant future that is something that I'd have to actually look at, especially for my son, because we would just I was getting calls from the office all the time, and there was just issues, and my son is just really not meant to be inside a classroom all day long, sitting at a seat. I don't think that he's an anomaly, but it was just a big challenge for him and a big struggle. And what everything did was, all the stuff that was going on, there was just the first year of the vid, it was a lot of back and forth, like they're going to be at school, they're not going to be at school, they're working from home, they're not. Like, it was just too much fluctuation up and down, and it just became really hard for them to do. The constant shifting and changing was just really hard for them, because kids are used to having a routine, and they're used to having some sort of normalcy. They're used to having, set times, and they're used to that. And when you're now getting away from that kind of thing, and it's always up and down, and then they weren't allowed to be kids, they weren't allowed to play with each other, they had to be in cohorts, and you had to stay in your cohort. And that was really hard for my son in particular to really grasp, my friend is over there, why can't I play with my friend? And so it just became too much. And so this September came, and there was just still a lot of question marks, and I just realized, for my children, they need to be home. We were gonna trial this homeschooling thing for a year, because it was in the back of our head, of our minds, that it's a possibility. It wasn't a big shock to then move into the role of being a homeschool mom. But with that, there's been a lot of challenges, and it's not been easy. And but there's one thing about being in tune and connected to source, and being connected to a higher power, is that you're always being given guidance. And when I prayed about it, when I was asking for clear guidance about it, there were certain things that kind of, one thing in particular was that the social aspect, right? One of the big things is they're not going to be in their class, they're not going to be with their friends, blah blah blah. And within legit within the day, within a few hours of even posting the question about what are we to do in terms of socialization, are they going to be okay if we homeschool? And like I said, within a few hours, I got a message from a girl that I know. And she also happens to be homeschooling, and she's like, oh, I know these people and we can get together. And like, there was a group of like 6 kids together within the span of a few hours. So when you're in alignment, then the messaging and the confirmation and the clarity comes in a lot faster because you're open, you're tuned into that frequency, and you're tapped into that channel, right? So that was one big concern. And we've had a year of transition. We have been, all growing together, and there are days where it's fantastic, and there are days where it's like, I think we're going to give it a break today because, like, you're not in it, I'm not in it, and I don't want it to be a struggle. I want them to be loving what they're doing, right? Like, we do other things like cooking and baking, and they're doing hands-on things where they're learning irregardless if they're in a classroom. This is a classroom of life also, right? So it's been an interesting process. It's been mind-opening. It's been eye-opening. And then in February, I found out that their old school had a pedophile as a grade 5 teacher. And just finding out today, like, they're still not really handling it well. So it was like extra confirmation that the path that I chose was the correct path for my kids and for myself. And just looking at the world, I want to teach them hands-on things. Like, we're doing a unit called living off the land. And living off the land is like basically teaching yourself how to be self-sufficient. And so it's exciting to learn with them. It's amazing to see when they are thriving, when you can see like they're catching on, they're understanding, when they are picking up what you're putting down. It's freaking amazing to see that firsthand, that you guys work together and like you get to enjoy that, and not just the teacher. Like, you're the teacher. You get to experience all their highs and their lows. And I wouldn't want it any other way. And it's so many little things, and a lot of things about the world and the way our school system is changing, and even the curriculum is changing. And it's just reassuring me that I made the best decision for my family, and we will continue to make the best decision possible. And if we can continue homeschooling, that's exactly what we're doing, because I would rather keep them close, frankly, because all this shit going on in the world has activated the mama bear. So I don't know about you, but there's just this fierce need within to be able to protect our children. And not doing it from an aggressive way, but doing it intuitively, and knowing that everything that I'm doing is guided by God, guided by Source, guided by the universe. Even if I don't always see it, even if the picture isn't always clear, I know for a fact that we're on the right track. And I feel like it just takes some time to get your bearing, and we're still learning the groove of it, and we're still figuring life out, but we're doing it together. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to protect your children, because if anything, the last couple of years, it has been a revelation. It has been an unveiling and an uncovering, and now we're seeing a lot of the deception and a lot of the things that we maybe weren't privy to and weren't aware of. Our eyes are now being forced to be wide open, and there is nothing wrong with knowing that it's our job as a parent, our job as that mother, to protect our children at all costs. And we can't excuse it anymore, because now that we know that certain things are being done and said, and there's certain agendas and directions that our kids are being molded in, that it's very important that we take that power back as a mother, as a parent, as a guardian, and say, enough is enough. I need to do what's best for my children. And it's also important to then not get too hyper focused on how it's all going to play out. I even pulled a card. The only thing that came out in the deck was this one. Letting go. Letting go. Drop what we think that we should be doing. Follow our own guidance. Even like the tree knows that new growth will happen, but you got to let go of the old ideas and the old to be able to grow into something else. So those are my thoughts. And this is Garage Talks with Krystal. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care.